You may be the first person in your family who finally stops surviving and starts building real financial freedom for everyone after you. You grew up hearing things like, maybe next month, or we can't afford that right now, and somehow that feeling stays with you forever. Nobody teaches you fear around money directly. You just slowly learn it, watching stress, silence, and exhaustion become normal inside your home. The strange part is, none of it felt dramatic while it was happening. Your parents worked hard, really hard. And that's what becomes confusing later in life. Because as a kid, you believe hard work automatically creates stability. Then one day you grow up and realize some people spend their entire lives working just to stay in the exact same place. That realization changes you quietly, especially when you start thinking differently about money than everyone around you. At first, it feels exciting. You start learning things nobody ever explained before. Discipline, investing, long-term thinking, delayed gratification. And for the first time in your life, you begin to realize financial freedom might actually be possible. But after a while, it starts feeling lonely. Because the moment your mindset changes, your conversations change too. You stop caring about impressing people. You stop spending money just to fit in. And slowly, you realize you're building a future that nobody around you fully understands yet. Nobody really talks about this part. Changing your financial future isn't only about making more money. It's about becoming a completely different person while everyone around you stays the same. That takes discipline, distance, and uncomfortable decisions most people avoid their entire lives. Sometimes you'll feel guilty for wanting more. Sometimes you'll wonder if you're becoming selfish, but deep down you know you're trying to break a cycle. Not only for yourself, for your future family too. Because eventually, one person decides the struggle ends with them. Most people never notice when survival mode becomes their entire identity. They wake up stressed, spend emotionally, work endlessly, then repeat the same cycle again tomorrow. And after enough years pass, they start believing exhaustion is just part of being an adult. That's the dangerous part. Not struggling financially for a season, but slowly accepting a life that never actually moves forward. The people who eventually change their lives usually start quietly. Nobody claps at the beginning. Nobody notices the small habits, the early mornings, the books, the sacrifices nobody sees. Real transformation almost always looks boring at first. That's why most people quit too early, because they expect motivation to carry them farther than discipline ever will. At some point, your priorities start changing completely. You stop chasing things designed to impress strangers. You become more careful with your time, more protective of your focus, and more aware of how expensive distractions really are. Because once you understand compound growth, you realize even small daily decisions quietly shape the next 10 years of your life. The hardest part is not building wealth. It's staying patient while your old life still looks the same. Because for a long time, nothing external changes immediately. You still live in the same room, drive the same car, see the same people, but internally, your mindset has already started building a completely different future. Eventually, people around you begin noticing the difference. Not because you talk more, but because your energy changes, your discipline changes, your confidence changes. You become calmer, more focused, less desperate for approval. And without realizing it, you slowly become the person younger you always needed growing up. And maybe one day, your future children won't carry the same financial fear you did. They won't remember stress at grocery stores or silent panic around unpaid bills. Because the sacrifices you make today quietly change the emotional future of people you haven't even met yet. That's what generational change really looks like. Not flashy success, but peace that lasts beyond one lifetime. A lot of people confuse looking successful with actually being secure. So they spend money trying to prove something before building anything real. But real wealth grows quietly. No attention, no applause, no strangers validating every move. And eventually, you realize something. Peace feels better than impressing people who were never building a future with you anyway. Your environment matters more than people admit. The conversations around you shape your standards slowly. If everyone around you believes survival is normal, you eventually stop imagining anything bigger. That's why growth sometimes requires distance. Not because you hate people, but because constantly hearing limited thinking eventually limits you too. Nobody really prepares you for how uncomfortable growth feels at the beginning. You question yourself constantly. You overthink everything. And some nights you wonder if any of this will even work. But the people who eventually change their lives are usually the ones who kept going, even while feeling uncertain, tired, completely misunderstood. One day, you stop reacting emotionally to every problem. You become calmer under pressure, more patient with progress, more intentional with money, and without realizing it, you slowly stop thinking like the person you used to be. That's when real transformation begins. Not when your life looks different on the outside, but when your mindset finally changes on the inside. You start realizing financial freedom isn't really about buying more things. It's about waking up without constant fear, without panic around bills, without feeling trapped by every unexpected expense. That kind of peace changes people deeply, especially when you grew up watching money control the emotional atmosphere inside your home for years. And maybe the most powerful part of all this is realizing your future children may never fully understand the struggles you carried. Not because they don't care, but because your decisions protected them from the same fear. That's what changing a family really means. Quiet sacrifices today, creating emotional security for people who haven't even been born yet. At some point, you stop chasing temporary happiness and start building permanent stability. Your goals become quieter, more intentional, more mature, because deep down you finally understand something most people never do. Financial freedom isn't about ego, it's about peace. The kind of peace your younger self always wished existed at home. And the strange thing is, the more you grow, the less you feel the need to prove yourself. You stop competing with strangers online, you stop chasing attention, and slowly, you become addicted to something far more valuable. Clarity, discipline, focus, control over your own future. Most people think changing their life requires one massive moment, but usually it starts quietly. A different decision, a different habit, a different mindset, repeated for years. That's how entire futures change, not overnight, but slowly enough that most people don't notice until the results become impossible to ignore. Maybe nobody around you fully understands your vision yet. Maybe they think you've changed too much, but one day, the same discipline that looked unnecessary will become the reason your entire life feels different. That's the uncomfortable part of growth. You usually have to become someone unfamiliar before your future finally starts recognizing you. One day, your children may grow up without hearing the same stressful conversations you heard, without seeing fear every time money is mentioned, and they may never fully realize how much of that peace exists because of the decisions you're making right now. That's what makes all of this worth it. Not status, not attention, but finally creating safety where fear once lived. And maybe you were never meant to repeat the same cycle forever. Maybe you were supposed to become the person who finally changes the direction of your family. Not through luck, not through shortcuts, but through years of discipline that nobody else was willing to maintain long enough. That's how generational change really happens. Quietly, slowly, then all at once. So now, I want to ask you something honestly. Do you think you could become the first financially free person in your family? And if your answer is yes, don't ignore that feeling, because your future might quietly begin with one decision after this video. If this spoke to you, leave a like and comment, "New Future."